So you want to become a real estate investor, but you're not quite sure how to get into the business. Well, you came to the right place. Let's get into it. How you doing? I'm Deroit Werenka, broker owner here at M1 Realty, founder of the company. I started this company in 2014 and we've grown it into the largest real estate firm in Ferndale, Michigan. Now, I've worked with real estate investors of all types for almost 2 decades, and I've made a lot of people a lot of money in this business. But before we get into this video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, there's 2 main types of real estate investing. There is buying rental properties, and then there's fixing and flipping properties. Buying rental properties is a fantastic way to make passive income, and fixing and flipping is a great way to make massive return on your initial investment. Both of those approaches require different skill sets and different levels of risk tolerance. Now, they're both great opportunities depending on what your approach is, and we'll talk about both of them in this video. Which brings us to our first topic: what does it take to become a real estate investor? Number 1, you need to identify your objective. Do you want to become a buy and hold rental property owner, or do you want to fix and flip properties? Step 2, identify your ideal location. Now, this could be different for landlords than it would be for people who are looking to fix and flip. If you're going to be purchasing rental properties, you want to make sure that you're buying in an area that has lots of renters. And if you're going to fix and flip, you need to make sure that you are purchasing in an area that has good turnover. If you're looking to buy in an area with low turnover, it's going to take you much longer to get that home sold. Step 3, and this is an important one, identify your budget and then stick to it. Landlords, you don't want to overpay for a house in an area where the market rate for rent is going to be less than what your ideal cap rate would be. And for people that are fixing and flipping, my advice is to, whatever your repair budget ends up being, add 20% to it, especially on your first couple, because there's always unforeseen expenses that arise. Step 4, be ready to buy at a moment's notice and don't hesitate. The people that have to take time and think it through are going to lose a lot of houses to the people who are ready to just step up and buy it. Now, other advice that I have, this is an important one: become a cash buyer as soon as you possibly can. Now, I get it, the first couple you might have to get a mortgage for, but we're talking about investment properties. There's a lot of investors out there. Depending on how the market is, there may not be that many properties to go around. So cash deals inherently have a much easier time closing than mortgage deals. So if you're stuck with a mortgage to buy an investment property, you're going to lose out a lot of properties to cash buyers. So if you do start with a mortgage, my best advice is save as much money as you can, as fast as you can, become a cash buyer as soon as possible. Trust me, it's going to eliminate a lot of headaches for you. Another essential tip is to shorten your inspection period. Now, some of my really experienced investor clients, they'll bring a contractor with them the first time they see a house, or they've done it so many times that they don't even need to have an inspection. They just buy the house and then go for it. Now, again, if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that I always recommend having a home inspection done on the property. So I don't want to become a hypocrite on this video. So I will still recommend that you have an inspection done, but shorten the time period to 2 or 3 days, and just like get a contractor or a handyman, whoever's doing the work, ideally through the house, just to identify potential problems. A second set of eyes is always a good thing, especially when you're buying a house that is probably in distressed condition, especially if you're going to flip it. Now, it's important to keep in mind that investing in real estate is not for everybody, and that's okay. You need to have nerves of steel. You really do, especially if you're looking to fix and flip a property, especially if you're a cash buyer. You're going to have a lot of money tied up in that house, not just in the purchase of the house, but in repair materials, in equipment, tools. You're going to have a whole lot of expense tied up until the point where you get the house on the market, turn around and get it sold. And keep in mind, once you get the house under contract, you're still looking at about 30 days to close. So, I mean, you could potentially have that money tied up for up to 6 months, depending on how long it takes you to do the rehab, get the house sold, get it closed. So just be ready for that. Be mentally prepared, be mentally strong. Not everybody is suited to have that much money tied up. And that goes for landlords too. I mean, you might be buying a house that needs some work as well. So you have to acquire the property, get it rehabbed, get it into a condition where it can be rented, get the rental license for the property depending on the municipality that you buy in, and then identify a tenant, get them moved in. That's not a process that happens in a couple days. We're talking probably a month or two from the time you acquire the property to the time you move a tenant in and start generating income on it. And no matter whether you're looking to buy and hold or looking to fix and flip a property, I recommend getting the rehab work done as fast as you can. Now make sure it's done right, don't cut corners, but get in there and just work, get it done and get it ready. Because time is money, and every day that house sits there empty, it's costing you money. And finally, I would recommend whatever the city requirements are for either rental properties or pulling permits, doing rehab work, research that first and just work with the city. Whatever they require, just get it done, work with them, and trust me, it's going to make your life a lot easier. You don't want to just fly under the radar, not pull permits, just do things. They will catch you eventually, and trust me, it's not pretty when they do. They don't make it easy for you to get that house to the point where it's making money. So just work with the city. Again, whatever the requirements are. Some cities, especially in Wayne County, there's a couple in Macomb. I don't know of any in Oakland, but that's not to say that there aren't, will require a certificate of occupancy inspection prior to you moving anybody into the house. So you just want to get that done and get the city, satisfy their requirements. At the end of the day, you're going to be happy that you did. Tips for when you have the house ready. So these next tips are going to be strictly for people who are looking to buy and hold and acquire rental properties. First thing first is take the time to find the right tenant. Once that house is rehabbed, ready to move into, licensed by the city, now it's time to market the property to renters. What I've been doing, and it's been working out really, really well for me, I just advertise on Facebook Marketplace. This could change. I'm shooting this in March of 2022. At this point in time, that's the best way to market to renters that I found. You're going to get a lot of responses very quickly. What I do is, personally, I will just do an open house on the property. I'll let everybody that responds know, hey, I'm going to be at the property, Tuesday between 6 and 7. Feel free to stop by anytime during that hour. Oh, by the way, I'll attach a copy of our rental application. Say, have this filled out, bring it with you, bring a copy of a credit report and proof of income. No applications will be considered if you don't have all three of those things ready to go. I'll get 100 to 150 responses on any given house. Once I do the open house and respond to everybody, we'll probably get 15 to 20 people through during that hour. Out of that 15 to 20, 5 to 7 will have all the stuff that we need, but those are generally 5 to 7 really solid tenants who are motivated and ready to go and serious about renting. So if they like the property enough to give you all the information and documentation that you require, at that point you just need to decide between 5 to 7 really quality tenants who you want to move into the house. So at that point, that makes your job quite a bit easier. Market conditions can change on a dime, so we might get into a situation where maybe the tenants aren't that great. I would rather have a house sit on the market for an extra month rather than put somebody who I'm not 100% on into that house. If you get to that point, I just highly recommend just sticking with the process. Wait to find that right tenant, because it is an awful thing once you move somebody in who is not an ideal tenant. You're going to be fighting with them to get rent every month. They're always going to pay late. There's going to be excuses. They may not keep the house up to the standard that you would hope that they would. It's just going to be a nightmare. And then, you don't want to spend, however many months long the lease term is, because I recommend doing an 18 to 24 month lease. You don't want to spend that much time constantly trying to get money from that tenant. You just want somebody who just pays on time every month, keeps the property up. And at that point, it just makes it nice because you don't really have to worry that much about that house. Otherwise, it's going to become a stressor. If it gets to the point where you do have to evict a tenant, that's an extra added expense. Even if you don't hire an attorney to do that, there's still, you have to pay the court, you have to pay the court officer to do an eviction. I mean, it can get up into, it could cost you up to $1,000 to evict a tenant for non-payment, and that process takes a few months, depending on the jurisdiction. You're not going to get a court date for the next week. It could be 6, 7, 8 weeks down the road. It could be 2 to 3 months. During that time, you're probably not going to be getting rent. You're going to have to pay to get them out of the house. Once they leave, who knows what kind of condition they leave it in. So it just makes your life a lot easier on the front end to take your time, interview these tenants, make sure you're really comfortable with them, get them in the house, and just make sure that they're going to be the perfect kind of tenant that just doesn't hassle you too much and just pays. Once you do have a solid renter in place, my recommendation is to, the first couple months of rent that they pay you, set that aside and just use that for any maintenance or rehab expenses, especially if a house has been sitting empty for an extended period of time, like any more than like a couple months. I find that a lot of times when somebody moves in, they have an issue with the plumbing within the first week or so, and I think what that is a normal house is using water, and there's always constantly water going down the drain. Once that stops happening, all the gunk that is in that drain pipe that goes out to the sewer, it solidifies and hardens, and then once you start putting water back down again, then it unsolidifies, I guess, and starts clogging up the pipes. So you're going to have pipes back up a little bit. Usually that can be solved just with Drano. That's usually enough to get that taken care of. You may have to get a plumber out to run a snake down the drain and just open that up. And again, that's not too much of an expense. That's $150 to $200. Generally, you might even be able to get it done cheaper than that. But you always want to have that money on hand so that you're not coming out of pocket for repair expenses. Just have that set aside. That way you can draw off that. And then once you do make maintenance or repairs on the house, you need to reimburse yourself. The next month's rent, just put that in there. Just always have a cushion so that any crazy unexpected maintenance repairs that come up, you can handle it. And then the other thing that I'd recommend doing, or at least looking into, is getting a home warranty on these properties, and then that issue kind of goes away. Furnaces have the uncanny ability to decide to go out, and it's always like 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. It's never 2 o'clock on a Tuesday when you can get an HVAC guy out the same day. It's always on a weekend or a holiday, where you have to pay an arm and a leg to get somebody out there. Whereas if you just have a home warranty, you call the home warranty company, they send their guy out. It's $100 deductible, and you're done. So not a horrible idea to invest in a home warranty, especially if some of the mechanicals are a little older or the appliances. Now they don't cover everything. So if it's some weird little electrical repair, or a lot of times plumbing fixtures a lot of times aren't covered under a home warranty. So you're still going to want to have a good handyman or a good contractor on call to take care of those repairs if you're not handy enough to do it yourself. If you are, then you're going to save yourself a lot of money and time, but you're also going to have to be the one that goes out there and does the repairs. But just have that money set aside. It's going to make your life easier down the road. Another best practice, which I recommend for all of my investors that I work with personally, is to create an LLC. It's not hard to do. You can go to Michigan.gov. If you're in other states besides Michigan, I'm not sure exactly how you do it, but I'm sure it's easy to find out. But in Michigan, you can just go to Michigan.gov, create an LLC. That's a limited liability corporation, and you put the house in the name of the LLC. Now, even if you purchase it on a mortgage in your name, it's pretty easy to transfer ownership into that LLC. Mortgage companies see that all the time. It's not really a hassle. But you definitely want to do that. The reason why you do that, right? So if for some reason you've got a litigious tenant who say they slip and fall in the shower, or the front steps are icy, whatever the case may be, they get hurt, they want to come and sue the landlord for damages or injury or whatever the case may be, they can't come after you directly. They can only sue the LLC, which if you do it right, the money set aside for repairs and all that should be out of the bank account for the LLC. The LLC should have a few dollars in a bank account, and that's it, right? So you should pay yourself when you get paid rent. You want to transfer that money out of the LLC. So the only thing they can come after is the money that is in the LLC, which should be next to nothing. So just as a layer of protection, you want to do that. Ideally, the best way to do it is if you own multiple properties, each property is its own LLC. So you'd have 123 Main Street LLC, 560 Elm LLC, and the best way to do that is to have an umbrella corporation that owns all of the LLCs. So without getting too complicated, it'd be, for me, if I had like Deroit Werenka LLC, and then within that is 123 Main Street, 560 Elm, whatever other properties that I own are all owned by that the first corporation owns all the other, sub corporations, and that way, you're never really at any risk. You've got that layer of protection that corporations provide. And finally, I've already addressed this a little bit, but you want to make sure that you have a good contractor or a handyman available to you that you can rely on, that can respond quickly. Because the name of the game when you're buying and acquiring rental properties is to create as many long-term tenants as you can. So I know I've already talked about this. I recommend doing an 18 to 24 month lease. The longer the better. Really the expense comes into owning rental properties when they're empty. So you want to avoid that as to the extent that you can. Obviously people are going to come and go, but if you can get them locked in for at least a year and a half to 2 years, then you don't have to worry about turning around a rental property. Because even if they keep the property in good condition, you're looking at the very least repainting and cleaning the carpet, if not just replace the carpet completely. If they didn't leave it in that great a condition, we're talking, sales cleans, repairs, again, the other stuff, painting, getting it turned around so that it looks presentable for the next renter. So all of that's an expense, and during that time, you're not collecting rent. So you want to keep these people happy, keep them in the house as long as possible. The best way to do that is as soon as you know that there's an issue, you get it taken care of. And I also want to address rental inspections from the city. So every city that I know of around here in Metro Detroit requires a rental inspection. The frequency is different. Some of them are 1 year. The longest I know is every 3 years. So again, you want to get with the city, just go on their website. They should be able to tell you, or else if not, the building department, you just talk to the receptionist there. They'll tell you how many years the rental license is good for and what you need to do. They'll usually have the form right on their website. You can fill that out and bring it in. It's usually a couple $100 to register the property as a rental. But you want to get that done, and you want to get it done quickly. And then when the when the rental inspection is due again, get that taken care of as fast as you can. Again, that goes into having a good handyman and contractor. Try and develop as good a relationship as you can with the inspectors. Easier said than done in some cities, but just do the best you can. The director of the building department director is a good ally to have as well. So just do what you can to make that happen. But you want to get that done quickly. You don't want to drag it out. Most of the time they'll come through, they'll identify, they want this, and this done. Most of the time they want a furnace certification done no matter what. So have a good HVAC guy, and you probably just get that done ahead of time, like before they even do their inspection. So that's one less thing you have to worry about. Those are anywhere from $85 to $100. It's not a huge expense. They just make sure that there's no carbon monoxide leaking out of the furnace, basically. The reason you want to get that done is more and more cities now, it's not just a ticket that they send you if it's not done in time. If the city feels that you're just like dragging out the process and not being serious about it, it's a misdemeanor. So I'm sure you didn't get into the real estate investing business to get a criminal record. So just get that taken care of as fast as you can, and then you'll never have to worry about it. Now, these next tips are for people that are looking to fix and flip a house. Tip number one, don't cut any corners. I look at properties all day, every day. I can't even tell you how many flips that I've gone into over the years where you can tell they were just like cutting corners to save money. There's things that they just left alone, didn't rehab. It ruins the aesthetic of the house. It doesn't have a nice flow or a nice feel to it. Buyers definitely notice those things, and it's just obvious. You can tell the really good professional rehab jobs from the amateur ones. And I get it. There's a learning curve to it, but you don't want to be identified as an amateur. It's not going to your house is going to take longer to sell. You're not going to get as many offers. You're not going to sell it as fast, and you're going to sell it for less money. So ideally, have that place buttoned up beautifully tight, have everything done and ready to go, and it'll sell immediately, multiple offers over asking price, and you'll be very happy that you didn't cut any corners. The one constant in the real estate market is that it's always changing. So that being said, don't take too much time on the rehab. I'd get that done. Recommend getting it done as quickly as you can. So I get it, on a whole house rehab, that's not going to happen in 3 days. But if you can get it done in a month to 6 weeks, that's going to help you, enable you to sell that house in the same market that you bought it in. You don't want to buy at the top of the market when things are hot and it's a seller's market, and then have everything change. And next thing you know, you're trying to sell it in a buyer's market where the prices are starting to decline. We just want to make sure that you're protecting your investment. The best way to do that is to get the house turned around as fast as you can. Like I said, in real estate investing, when that house is sitting there empty, you're losing money. So let's not have you lose too much. And again, with the constantly changing real estate market, you have to stay a little bit flexible. So I know it's fun to think about how much you're going to sell that house for once you buy it and have it fixed up, and you're counting the money before the house is closed. But don't get your heart set on X amount of dollars of return. You have to take what the market gives you. So don't get to a point where if you don't get X amount of dollars, you just don't sell. I've actually been in that position before with clients. It was right as the Great Recession was starting to hit, and my client kind of. They did all the stuff that I told you not to do. So they bought a house. The house was a great house in a great location, but they took a long time to get it rehabbed. And by the time it was ready for the market had started to shift and decline a little bit. Now I had sold them, an investment property prior to that where they made a really nice return. And this one was a little bit more expensive. So, in my client's head, they were going to, make an even bigger return on this one. Well, the market had other thoughts. So even though I had listed the house, gotten an offer that would have provided a 5-figure return. I mean, it's not as much as he wanted, but a profit is a profit. Turned it down, and then the market really tanked and ended up having to just walk away from the house completely. So you don't let that. You take that as a cautionary tale. You don't want that to happen to you. A profit is a profit. Just take the money and run, and move on to the next house. I mean, this is all, extra income. So, anytime you can turn a house around and walk away with money in your pocket, just do it. Don't get your heart set on, I want to make X amount of dollars. If you have to take, 80% of what you wanted, that's still not bad. You made money. Just celebrate that and move on to the next house. If you're gonna make this a long-term thing, if you really enjoy, fixing and flipping homes, you definitely want to consider doing a 1031 exchange. Now, what that is it helps you. It defers capital gains tax. So normally, when you're flipping a house, Uncle Sam gets 20% of your profit. So unless you do a 1031 exchange, now what that is somebody needs to administer that, and we've got people that I personally don't at my company, but we've used 1031 exchanges where I know where to recommend that you go to administer it. Now what they do, once the house that you're selling closes, they actually get the money for that. They hold it in an account, and then you've got I believe 45 days to identify a property and 90 days to close on it. So we just find you a different property to purchase, and once we have that under contract and it closes, the person that's administering the 1031 exchange will release the funds to purchase the next property. Now that helps you avoid capital gains tax, which is a pretty substantial tax on your real estate profit, and it's just an easy vehicle to just keep that going. You can use them as many times as you need to, and then it's only when you sell that last house that you're going to owe capital gains. And then if it's something that you've owned for a while, you can even use the money to purchase a home to live in. So you live in that house for 20 years. The short-term capital gains then becomes long-term capital gains. And if it's your primary residence, I don't know the exact laws on this. We'd have to look into it with an accountant or a tax expert. But when it's your primary residence and you decide to sell that, you're exempt from capital gains for up to $500,000 if you're married, $250,000 if you're single, and you might be able to avoid capital gains altogether on all the properties that you had fix and flip. So something to look into, something to consider. That's probably the best vehicle that we have available to us to defer taxes. And I'm a real estate broker, so you knew this was coming. I always recommend working with a knowledgeable expert agent who knows what they're doing with investment properties, is willing to work day and night for you to identify properties to purchase and get out there, get contracts written quickly, structure them effectively so you get deals under contract, and then can help guide you through the process of rehab. And then, when you're ready to sell, make sure that there's someone who is an expert at getting listings sold quickly and for top dollar. And then finally, and this is for both landlords and flippers, have fun. Like, this process allows you to have a lot of passive income, build up a lot of wealth in not a very long amount of time. It allows you to turn around and get a massive return on an investment, like more than you'd ever get on the stock market in a short amount of time if you're looking to flip. So, if you do this the right way and you're smart about it and it's something that you're comfortable doing and enjoy doing, this is going to allow you to live like everybody wants to live, but nobody is able to. Like, most people just can't have the life that you'll be able to have simply from investing in real estate. And, like I said, I've done this for a lot of clients, made them a lot of money, and enable them to live a life that most people only dream about living. So, just keep that in mind. I know it's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of, money to be putting out there. But at the end of the day, if you do it right, the sky's the limit on how much money you can make investing in real estate. And if there's anything that I didn't address or any questions that you have, you can always reach out to me, 248-561-6155, or email me at dwerenka@m1realty.net. I definitely can help you get started on your journey and answer any questions that you might have. Thanks again for watching this, guys. I really enjoy making these videos. If there's a topic that you'd like to know more about, just let me know. Send me a text, send me a call or email, or just comment in this video, and I'll be happy to do that for you. And again, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel. Trying to put out informative content once a week, and everything that's real estate related that really falls into my expertise, that allows the consumer to be more knowledgeable and more effective in this crazy real estate market. So thanks a lot, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.